Coming to you live from sunny Arizona. The Steve Rude Show is now live.
People, welcome to Steve Rude Live. That means I'm alive, you're alive, and we're watching this live. In a few days, or rather in a few hours, this will not be live. It'll be recorded and you'll see it on different platforms. The Steve Rude Show is different because I'm different. My mom first pointed out that I was different when I was a little kid, and one of the local blowhards was attacking a baby robin, and I went crazy. And years later, she said, "That's how I knew you were different, Stephen." Well, anyone that meets me knows I wasn't foil stamped. So what we talk about in this show are the things, by me being me, that others don't. They don't have my thought process. They don't have my knowledge. They have their own kind of knowledge, and they do their own thing. But what I see on YouTube and other platforms is pretty standard stuff. Everyone is kind of rigid and upright, and they're trying to speak properly, and they either succeed or they fail. The worst thing you can do on a podcast or whatever on YouTube, a video thing, is to go on forever without getting to your point, kind of like I'm trying to do now. But we have a lot of stuff in store for you guys. We always do. It's our mission statement to gather things up that I think is going to inform and entertain you, okay? So the first thing we do, besides introduce myself, which I did, Steve Rude the Dude Live, we're going to talk about the ongoing process that I'm going through with my new Nexus hardcover, my 100-page story called Return to Earth. And since we talked last week, I've got several new pages already done, and we're going to be showing those pages, and not only showing those, but talking about them and all the little things I do as I'm going through the creative process. So let's start off with some letters here. Okay, here's my letters. The comments are getting longer, which I like. I like it because, well, longer letters tend to be informative and far more personal. They get very specific about what they like. So there's a guy from Peter Holman that says, the first thing that stood out on Nexus to him was the painted covers. Now, when I debuted in 1981 with Nexus, I made it a point to paint my covers because I knew that I was not going to be content with just doing line art colors and have it colored in by some colorist. My thing was wanting to be an illustrator, and an illustrator paints and illustrates, which is perfect for comics. And at that time, there's only one or two of us doing that, and now it's a little more common, especially with the Photoshop and the computers and the machine art that everyone's doing nowadays. Guy mentions that Nexus was unique to him. There were superhero trappings, but Horatio Hellpop, who was actually Nexus, was not a superhero. He wasn't exactly an anti-hero either. So the letter goes on to show, or to explain things that, why he took to the Nexus comic book. One guy wrote in, I guess he's talking about me. Steve Rude's work was a lightning bolt to young me back then. There was nothing like it when I was aware of anything else at the time. The Steve Rude sketchbook was one of my prized possessions. I'm assuming that's the kitchen sink sketchbook that was published back in the mid-90s. Someone says they loved the relationship between Sundra, Peale, and Nexus, which I totally concede on. That's not the right word, concede, no. Agree, no, that's too boring. I'll think of something later on. Philosophical stuff that somebody's talking about the book when we published GodCon with Nexus. That was that was just over, I think, 100 issues of Nexus. And I told Barron, I said, look, the big question that everyone wants to know that's human, and perhaps otherwise, is if there's a God, why does he allow this bad stuff to happen? So I said, Baron, you're going to be held accountable when you do this comic, when you write this comic, because you've got everyone and their brother thinking differently about religion. I liked the comic a lot. There were some very important parts in there that I really took to. The only part I didn't like was Jesus was a little too flippant when he was saying stuff like, I name you Richard Nixon or something, and was dunking some guy in the water. A little too flippant for me. Guy mentions it still feels bold to this day. Gino, the girl behind, the perpetually overworked lady behind all the stuff you see coming on and online, as long as Mr. Producer, my little daughter, Super. We will occasionally put out a question that we think people might have an interest in answering. And Gino Ginelli, the girl I married, had this question for everyone. What was the very first thing that jumps out at you at page 1? Now, page 1 is this page right here. But this is not the way it looked when it was published. I'll show you what it looked like when it was published, if I can find it. Where is it? Where is it? It's not here. We always keep our feathered numbers here for just such an emergency. Here's the actual page 1, the way it turned out. Now, the way I drew it was a little differently. So keep this in your memory bank. So I'm going to set it down for a second. And this is the way it originally was. I went overboard with all the detail. I tend to do that because I'm a storyteller. That's what they call us, the guys that draw comic books. And I put all this extra stuff in there, not realizing that that's exactly what I should not be doing. I was making a deliberate effort to not bog down people with detail, especially the first page. If the first page is too dense, it doesn't invite you to want to read the page 2. So it went from that cluttered version to this version right here. Some of the comments that came in about that question, what was the very first thing that jumps out at you at page 1? And this Patrick McEnvoy wrote in and said the shadows. He has a film noir feel. Noir means black. Guy says, Joey says he likes the third panel in the fourth. Third panel in the fourth. 1, 2, 3. So he likes the shadow on the wall. Okay. Well, the way you can see the way this page reads right here. Here's the establishing shot. The girl in an alleyway with all these bills posted up around her, just for mood. I didn't get specific except for these two Rock'em Sock'em robots here. These two, the red versus the blue. So this is a little thing up here that scans and monitors and spies on everyone. God knows they do it enough in this day and age. They're sure going to continue it 500 years from now. Except this one's short-circuited. I think somebody did that on purpose. Here's a close-up of the girl, a young Hispanic girl that's running from who? We don't know yet. So she's running. The cast shadow on the wall is always an effective thing. So there's just smoke. There's mist in the air for this first page. So we cut to here going down to the reverse shot, going back to where this where the side of the wall is. And then we see these people sticking out there. They're meant to be very ambiguous and not necessarily shapes you can recognize as real people. They're more like shadow people. And we all know what shadow people are all about. There's a lot of white out here to give it movement. I might go in there and smooth out some of that stuff. You never know. When it's your book, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Was there any other comments? Okay, so one other guy wrote, I like the different distances, which is kind of neat. That's kind of what I was hoping for. Similar angle, but change in scope and size. The part that grabbed my attention, though, is the narration. The narration that you're going to see on this page, which you can't see there because the lettering is mechanically paste it over. I do the lettering. If I screw up, I can just do another balloon, and no problem. It's all going to be pasted in somehow, mechanically. He liked the narration. The narration is always something that goes along with the pictures. Words and pictures. Comic books are words and pictures. The only thing comic books don't have are actual, compared to a movie, it doesn't have actual movement, and it doesn't have sound. But in your mind does amazing things when you are deprived of certain senses. It fills it in. Your mind fills it in even though it's not there. And with your mind filling it in, that means it's a very personal, deep interpretation of what you're just able to read and look at. And your mind is a very powerful thing with that. And it fills in the void, and it makes you feel something. Comic books are about feeling something. I'll get back to this in a second. I just had this thought. I was reading something about my friend Walt Simonson one time, and they were asking everyone, why do comic books appeal to a certain age group? And they were kind of hitting towards the the 12 and older crowd. Walt said the artwork in a comic book, if it's going to be effective, has to match the emotions of what people feel when they're at that young age, and which is I thought that was a great one. It was a great way to think of it. But since when do emotions stop at age 12? They go on forever. They go on through your lifetime. So if you can hit them hard enough, you can look at a 65-year-old to a 70-year-old, and maybe even 80-year-old. I know a guy that's 107 right now, and I showed him some of the stuff I've done, and he feels intense emotion reading what I'm trying to get across in my pages. So remember that comic books are potentially for everyone, especially the intellectuals out there. What else does he finish up with? Oh, you mentioned some dialogue that he really liked. We're left wondering how and why. That's very deliberate, isn't it? That's what all good writers are all about, making you turn the page. So when you look back at your favorite comic, there's going to be certain elements in there that, oh, praise the Lord, my gigantic Blick order just came. Wow, I'm excited. Set it right down there, Mr. Producer. You see the word Blick on there? Can you see that, people? How can it get more exciting than that? Let's take a second here and open it up. Is there anything more fun for an artist than to open up a box with art supplies? I mean, don't they have actual YouTube channels that show people opening up their art supplies? Good packing as always. Blick is always on the top of that. I ordered plenty of this green stuff right here, and it looks like they did that for me. Along with my order, I made sure I got plenty of whatever this is. Oh, praise the Lord. My gouache paints, my brush cleaner, my colored pencils, a new thing palette, new palette, and my Blick panels. These are the perfect size for doing portraits right here. The 16 by 12, and I ordered 1 billion of them because I don't want to run out of them. Oh, my paints, holy spit. What's this right here? Oh, this is some stuff to dissolve colored pencil. I want to see how it works to smooth things out. Oh, and they were kind enough to throw in a little brochure there. Well, folks, life doesn't get any better than this. As I'm clearly showing you, more colored pencils. Alizarin Crimson, permanent. You can never go wrong with that. These are all colors I need. Let's move it out of the way. No kidding. And this right here, somebody always wants to butt in, telling me what to do. So this is the paper right here that I draw on for Nexus. If I cut it in half, I get the same size of the page you were looking at over there. Here. See that? That kind of thing, cut it in half, then you got it. And who paid for all this? You guys did. So I have tons of paper that I'll cut in half, and I'll probably get 100 sheets out of this. I'm so excited. Oh, alizarin crimson. Wow, I'm so happy. So I got all my watercolor gouache things in there. Life doesn't get any better than this. It's been 6 months since I could order some art supplies, and with your help, we got them today. Matt Brasher, there's no branch in there. He says, regarding page 1, we're getting back to that, the introduction of the person as a capable former victim and who hopefully won't be again, I'm interested. See, those are the kind of comments that really help me see if I'm hitting the right marks. You're telling me what you feel inside. And gut reactions are what I covet more than anything else. Before you can have a chance to really think about stuff, I want to know how it hits you in less than a second. And that's how I evaluate how well I do. In my pages or my illustration, it's the same thing. So this guy is really, through just a few sentences here, really put his thought balloon into making it clear exactly what has grabbed him. Again, for the creator itself that these guys are responding to, this is gold here. This is just great. Very good. Guys, thanks so much. So that's it for the comments. What does everyone say at this point? Keep them coming? Well, absolutely keep them coming, because I read every one of them here. Community announcements. Isn't this something we always do? We got new Patreon members. Tyler, Mick, and Benedict, guy who's got a name that I'm not quite able to pronounce, but I'm sure that he's somewhere in the Netherlands. 25-member Franz Knoll. Franz is a guy that had me on one of his podcasts. He is let's just call him a stellar human being. He's far more advanced, along with his friend Dennis, I think it is, who is just doing incredibly good stuff, great stuff for us behind the scenes, for a very overworked Gino Ginelli, who's in the studio basement right now, where all the stuff is stored, the t-shirts, the extra books, the sketchbooks, and 1,000 other things. I'll take you on a tour there someday, and you'll see what's going on down there. Nexus Return to Earth. If you want to support the latest Nexus volume and see all the scripts, thumbnails, pencils, inks, letters, gotta do all that. Sign up for our crowdfunder, launching in September. Head to steverude.com/RTE. Do I know what that means? No, but you guys do. Return to Earth, of course. Just testing you guys. 25 plus Patreon members. It looks like Patreon, but it's not. It's Patreon. Members, I'm so critical. Patreon members get to see all the stages of the new page weekly. So in other words, everything I do, you're going to get a chance to see how I creatively pull this off or creatively crash, which I have no intention of doing. They are currently up to page 5, these Patreon guys. $5 plus Patreon members started seeing final ink pages this week with page 1. And they had some comments, which I love. Other announcements. We have a Heroes sale this weekend on our website. I assume that's for the 4th, celebrating the 4th. No codes needed. Head to steverude.com. Oh, in the process that I'm going to be explaining today, there's a lot of things I pulled out to give you an idea how I work this stuff. This originally was lines, just a line drawing. But when I go to put in the blacks, I want to make sure that I don't smother things with too much black if it's a light afternoon time of day. So all I had was just a couple cast shadows to show form, because when you put darks, when you put a black spot in a white area, you notice it stands out. It's calling you to look at it. So that's why you have to be very selective about where you put these things. if I put it all the way around here to give you this path, it would read very well, but it wouldn't have the same emotional feeling as a Sunday afternoon. So I do that. What else does Steve Rude do here? Let's find out. We're going to wrap up today's live stream by showing you how I draw this figure right here. And I thought first thing I like to do is show you how I loosen up. You notice the whole shoulder going on here. This is not a wrist thing, unless you want to get into tiny details. But generally, it's good to just kind of swing that paper, this very flimsy paper, to kind of get your wrist moving right here. And now we proceed to the finished drawing. This is what I'm working from. As you saw on the page, I normally just do the underdrawing in this blue pencil that everyone must be aware of by now in comics. First thing I do, I swing a line. That's where it all starts. Can you see that, everyone? Good. Mr. Producer says A-OK. I wanted to make sure that her feet were planted on a certain spot. Let's just do that as her head. I don't necessarily do it like this, but I can if I need to. So now we just build the units. So watch how everything is based on that line. This is a line, this is a contrapposto stance right here, which means off balance. Girls always stand like this, and it's one of the beautiful female things that they do to make themselves look thinner, I guess, or more graceful. So this is how I do it right here, okay? So there's my main units. She could be going like this. She could have her hands down and go like this with one hand. But no, she's going to be celebrating. And she's saying, this house is amazing. So she's doing a number that says, this house is amazing. The actual perspective lines on the head are done with 2 lines in a sphere. And this is what you have to carefully build up right here is the actual proportions of the head. This is not for the weak of heart. And I have to be very careful how I do this. Especially, the eyes and the mouth are the 2 things that you have to watch out for. So she's got a smile on her face. Her bottom jaw is down. When you smile, you press the muscles like this. They press the muscles back so you can see the teeth. And teeth always indicate that she's in a good mood. So I'm going to finish this off first. Eyes, of course, if we can see that pretty well, are built like this, and like this, and then she's looking up. If she's looking up, her pupil has to be like that, right? So I guess it looks okay. We move it over, we put the ear in. This is all construction that everyone knows about, especially the Rude Dude crowd that are intellectually superior to everyone else who is out there when it comes to drawing comic books. So let's go in here with our little, we'll kind of erase this a little bit right here so you can see the bold lines a little better. We'll start with the eye. Doesn't have to be the eye, it can be anything really. Remember, when you smile, you're often squinting. The teeth are pulled back, and they're in this kind of mode. If you want to put the tongue in like all the cartoon guys do, you go right ahead. And we're just building up the forms from there. The mouth is a little off, so thank God we invented erasers somewhere on this earth. Like I said, you can't mess around with mouths. You have to really be... you guys know how critical the mouth is. You have to understand mechanics. So that's a lot better right there. And look, we're talking about, micromillimeters of accuracy here. You know when it's right, you know when it's wrong, and when it's wrong, you have to go in there and do your little whiteout or your changes or erasing when it's still in pencil. The nose is also, you can't mess around with it. You can't do anything wrong in the face. If you do, you have to you have to go back. That's not quite her nose. So we bring back the eraser, and I have to be more considerate the way I'm doing this now. Okay, so that's much better. Bring her skull up. She's got a baseball hat on, probably the Yankees hat, considering where she just moved, and she's got some hair sticking up from here. She's got a ponytail coming down. I can use this I can use the pencil this way if I want. I always indicate the direction of these things by these things like this. Here's our cylinder, and here it's going backwards, and here's our cylinder again, and it's going the other direction right here, just based on, oh, sorry, this line right here. It's all math to me, people. The hands, I've been working on my hands. 2 weeks ago was hand day. So I hand it to you for doing homework with your hands. The jacket comes on, the seam is right there, and it kind of flares out when you're lifting your arms up. Grab any coat, you'll see what I mean. Here's her bosom line right here, and she's got this kind of like pattern like this with her with her shirt. Bring that line down, the center line, so you got things even the way you want them to. The legs have a certain kind of slenderness to them. See how I'm getting that nice, soft, bold line right there? I think Alex Toth kind of did a thing like that too. This is receding, so it goes off. There can be a possible cast shadow right here. And then you can add the little things. But that's the way it looks right there when I get done drawing something. Let's have her squint a little more. So Sundra Peale is very happy. Put little details in the ear. But the main things are all there. The folds for the jacket, you know, how weighty is it? What kind of material is it made of? All these things, and then I got some personal things. She's got kind of a star pattern on her jacket. She's got her midriff showing, so her pants kind of work like that with this shirt. And the zippers come over here, I decided. Yes, they have zippers in the future. So that's how I would do this particular drawing right here that you saw me draw on this panel. That's how it was done. And you saw it before your very eyes. Okay, people, we'll sign it. If anyone is interested, all the things are for sale that we do here. So let us know if you're interested in purchasing them. I think that was purchasing. That's it for the live stream of today. I hope that was helpful. Hope it was informative. I hope you guys had a good time. We're going to be posting some homework, which is going to be this drawing right here. I want to see how you guys pencil it out and how accurate you can be. The guys that are really good are going to impress me with their accuracy, and the guys that are still working on it are going to impress me because they're still working on things and they're determined to get it right. So that's it for this live stream. Are there any other announcements that I can make here before we go into the ether of Never Never Land?
Earlier we got a comment from Michael Lightfoot.
And
he said, I'm dying to know why the Star Wars poster behind you is upside down.
I guess the background here in the Dude Live studio is more important than anything else. Well, it's upside down because I had it right side up for so long, and I wanted to examine it in the way that I often do. By putting things upside down, it's a whole different perspective, and I'll notice things that I didn't notice last time. Very good question. Anything else you see that's upside down, don't be surprised. I'm doing the same thing that I did with the Star Wars posters by my longtime friend Drew Struzan, the greatest living illustrator. So I guess that's it for this week. I'm glad you tuned in. Patreon members, whatever you can toss our way, pays for the art supplies, and that's always kind of important for an artist. I'll see you next week with more fun stuff. This is your homework assignment. I'll look forward to them. Take care. See you next week.